On Christmas night 1894, San Francisco's glittering cliff house, crowned by wealth, scandal, and the Pacific's howling winds, was engulfed in a fire no one could explain. Built as a palace for gold rush millionaires and political power brokers, it fell not once, but again and again, each disaster more suspicious than the last. Was it just a tragic streak, or something far more deliberate? In this investigation we ask, what really happened to the Cliff House, and why did this icon vanish while others survived? The mystery begins not in its ruins, but in the ambition that first raised it high above the sea. In 1863, John Buckley and C.C. Butler set their sights on a lonely stretch of rock at San Francisco's western edge. The city was flush with gold rush fortunes, and the promise of the Pacific drew dreamers and risk-takers to its wild cliffs. Buckley and Butler imagined something bold, a grand retreat for the city's wealthiest citizens, perched above the roaring surf. They poured their money into timber, glass, and iron, building a restaurant and resort with sweeping views that seemed to float above the sea. The Cliff House opened its doors that year, offering champagne, oysters, and the kind of privacy that only distance and fog could buy. Within 5 years, ledgers showed business booming. By 1868, the Cliff House had tripled in size, with new wings and expanded dining rooms to keep up with demand. Railroad barons, politicians, and visiting celebrities arrived by carriage, eager to claim a table with a view of the endless horizon. The building's isolation only added to its mystique. There were no easy roads. Guests braved sandy dunes and gusting winds, rewarded with a place that felt both exclusive and untamed. The Cliff House quickly became a symbol of San Francisco's ambition, its fortunes rising as fast as the city itself. All of it balanced on a narrow ledge where glamour and risk were never far apart. On Christmas night in 1894, the Cliff House filled with guests celebrating the holiday, laughter echoing above the crashing surf. Just after dark, a shout of alarm cut through the music. Flames appeared, not in the kitchen, but in a distant hallway, far from any stove or open fire. Within minutes, the blaze leapt from room to room, racing up wooden walls and across painted ceilings. Waiters and patrons scrambled for the exits as smoke poured through the corridors. Ocean winds whipped the flames, turning the structure into a giant torch visible for miles along the coast. Firefighters arrived quickly, but the fire seemed to anticipate them, flaring up in empty parlours and locked storage rooms. Some witnesses later swore they saw fire erupting from behind closed doors, as if the building itself had been seeded with disaster. By midnight, the Cliff House was a smouldering ruin, its timbers collapsing into the surf below. The only explanation offered was a defective flue, but no official inquiry was ever opened. No coroner, no fire marshal, no city board asked hard questions. Instead, rumours spread through the city, whispers of sabotage, insurance schemes, and enemies jealous of the Cliff House's fame. The truth was left buried in the ashes, fueling a mystery that would haunt San Francisco for years to come. In the spring of 1896, scaffolding wrapped the cliffs above the Pacific as carpenters, masons, and painters worked day and night. Adolph Sutro, fresh from his term as mayor, poured his fortune and ambition into a new Cliff House, one that would eclipse anything San Francisco had seen. The design soared 7 stories high, a gingerbread palace of turrets, spires, and balconies. Ornate wooden trim curled along every roofline, and the main dining hall stretched out over the sea, supported by iron beams anchored in bedrock. From a distance, the building looked almost impossible, perched between fog and sky. Sutro's vision went beyond architecture. He wanted the Cliff House to be the city's crown jewel, accessible not just to the wealthy, but to anyone with a sense of wonder. To break the monopoly of the Southern Pacific Railroad, he built his own private rail line, the Ferries and Cliff House Railroad, so that families from downtown could ride out for a nickel. On weekends, the trains arrived full, bringing crowds who marveled at the glass-walled galleries, the rooftop observation decks, and the endless view west. Inside, velvet curtains framed windows that opened to salt air, and chandeliers glowed above marble floors. The menu offered oysters, game, and champagne, served in rooms where every detail was meant to impress. For a decade, the Cliff House stood as a symbol of boldness and possibility, a place where San Francisco's dreams touched the edge of the continent. Yet, with every new layer of grandeur, the risks grew higher and the sense of invincibility began to feel fragile. On September 7th, 1907, the Gingerbread Palace was silent except for the echo of hammers and the distant crash of waves. Renovations had cleared the main halls, leaving only a handful of workers and a lone night watchman named Owen Mulvaney on duty. Late in the afternoon, Mulvaney caught the sharp scent of smoke drifting up from the basement. Within moments, a thick column was curling through the lower corridors. He rushed to the nearest phone and pulled the fire alarm. Chemical Company Number 8 arrived first, hoses snaking down the cliffside road, but the fire was already outpacing them. Inside, flames raced along wooden beams, finding hidden caches of turpentine and paint left by the renovation crew. Then, without warning, a thunderous explosion shook the building. Fire Chief William Shaughnessy later reported that barrels of road powder, stored for nearby construction, had ignited in the basement. The blast blew out windows and sent shards of glass raining onto the rocks below. Firefighters were forced to retreat as a second explosion tore through the ground floor, this time fueled by paint thinner and solvents. Eyewitnesses described fire erupting from empty rooms and stairwells, as if the building itself was riddled with hidden fuses. The structure, built with open staircases and elaborate woodwork, became a chimney for the inferno. By dusk, the palace was lost. The official reports offered no clear cause. Some blamed careless workers, others whispered about sabotage, but the fire left only unanswered questions and a blackened skeleton on the cliffs. In 1909, a new cliff house rose from the rubble, its lines stark and purposeful against the windswept bluffs. This time, the design came from the local architects Reed and Reed, who abandoned the ornate flourishes of the past. Reinforced concrete formed the core of the building, with steel beams anchoring its weight deep into the rock. Fireproof stucco covered the walls, and wood was used sparingly, only where it could not threaten the structure's safety. Emma Sutro Merritt, Adolf Sutro's daughter and executor of his estate, oversaw every detail. Her instructions were clear: no more timber palaces, no more risk. The blueprints called for fire-resistant floors, concrete stairwells, and a flat roof that could withstand both flames and ocean storms. When the doors opened, the new cliff house looked nothing like the fairy tale castles before it. Instead, it stood as a monument to survival, a place built to endure, yet still haunted by the memory of everything that had come before. Long after the last dinner was served, the Cliff House still cast a shadow over San Francisco's imagination. Historians and skeptics continue to sift through insurance ledgers, city archives, and whispered legends, searching for answers that remain just out of reach. Some point to the practical hazards. A building exposed to ocean winds, built in an era of flammable materials and uncertain wiring. Others look deeper, tracing patterns of financial hardship and rivalry in the years before each disaster. Old insurance records reveal payouts that match the value of each lost structure, fueling rumors of profit-driven schemes, though no evidence ever surfaced to prove deliberate fraud. Folklorists gather stories of curses and restless spirits, passed down through families who remember the cliffs as a place where fortune and fate collide. The 2020 closure, coming after more than a century of survival, left the building empty once again, its future uncertain, its past still tangled in mystery. Whether the Cliff House fell to bad luck, human ambition, or something darker, the debate endures, echoing above the waves. In 1909, the Cliff House was rebuilt in reinforced concrete, a direct response to the devastating fires of 1894 and 1907 that destroyed its wooden predecessors within hours. Official records show no fire marshal or police inquest was ever completed for either blaze, leaving crucial causes unconfirmed. While historians agree that flammable construction, hazardous winds, and rapid modernization played roles, documented rumors of sabotage and large insurance payouts fueled suspicion. The structure's repeated destruction, unlike any other San Francisco landmark, remains unmatched in city history. Today, the Cliff House stands closed since 2020, its fate shaped by financial and legal disputes rather than flames. Yet, the original mystery endures. Why did this landmark fall again and again when others survived? With no definitive evidence to explain the pattern, the Cliff House is remembered not just for its grandeur, but as one of San Francisco's most persistent historical enigmas.